In Thailand, tens of thousands of criminal defamation cases have been filed in the last decade. Critics say powerful people are using the courts to silence those speaking out.
18 years in jail, this is unacceptable.
Often bankrolled by the taxpayer, these court cases are taking their toll on those standing up to fraud, abuse, and environmental destruction.
การที่บริษัทก็ใช้ทุกช่องทางในการที่จะทำให้ชาวบ้านเกิดความหวาดกลัว
The intention is not to win the case, but it's actually to wearing people down.
One East investigates allegations that across Thailand, lawsuits are being used to intimidate whistleblowers and conceal corruption. Chutima Sidasathian is one of Thailand's most famous investigative journalists and human rights defenders. This morning, she's heading to a police station in the northeastern province of Korat to hand herself in.
I feel upset. I feel exhausted.
Chutima faces a slew of criminal defamation charges related to social media posts she made about a local mayor, linking him to a serious financial scandal. In Thailand, it's a crime to publish comments that damage a person or an organization's reputation.
I facing in jail 18 years just because of I say the truth thing. Once you speak up and then you get some people upset you, they can go to the policeman and then report you. Immediately you have to stay in jail. It's no matter you right, you wrong. If you not have money to bail yourself, you have to stay in the jail.
This is the third time that Chutima's had to surrender to police over the same dispute. She is facing 9 separate charges, all from complaints filed by the same man, the mayor of the sub-district of Ban Lang. Chutima says the charges were laid to silence her and are a clear example of strategic lawsuits against public participation, or slap cases.
I don't know what I can say. How many times I have to put the name on my finger at the criminal record. I don't know that my mom, my family is gonna handle with this thing.
More than 25,000 criminal defamation cases have been filed since 2015, and they take a lot of time and money to defend, even if what has been said is true.
I'm not a criminal. I have my own right to speak up. I have my own right to criticize the public interest project.
Chutima was visiting her home in Korat in 2021 when she heard about a story that didn't add up. Huge sums of government loan money, known as village funds, designed to lift the rural poor out of poverty, had gone missing.
So 12 million is accounted for with these loans?
Yeah.
And then there's still 32...
missing. 32 million is missing.
Chutima analysed checks, bank slips, and other evidence and began piecing the puzzle together, tracing some of the money to personal bank accounts. One of those accounts belonged to the mayor.
This is the check, cashier check, 1 million. Yeah, 1 million. And another village is 1 million. So 2 million go to this account number, pay to owner of the bank account that must have a name. They're not mentioned.
But there's no name noted.
Why is left it empty?
So how did you work out whose account it was?
I put this number on my mobile banking. I try to transfer for 10 baht for this bank account. It's certainly to come up of the mayor name.
Wow, and so that's his name?
That's his name, yeah. Yeah.
The man she's talking about is Mayor Tanontorn Kawikit Ratana.
I was shocked. I couldn't sleep for weeks. I was shocked. He the guy who set up this community financial institution.
The evidence appears to show that a financial institute the mayor founded, intended to manage and distribute loans for villagers, had transferred some of the money to him instead. He's now facing criminal charges, but does not admit to any wrongdoing. Chutima shared what she'd found with the community, posted it online, and gave the information to authorities. But Mayor Tanantorn went to the police and accused her of defamation. Now she and her legal team are preparing to defend those charges.
โอเคเดี๋ยวนะเอาใหม่นะ
เอากระชับเลยนะโอเคการโพสต์นี้เนี่ยเป็นการโพสต์บอกประชาชนทั่วๆไป
ใช่ค่ะเป็นการแจ้งเตือนเป็นการโพสต์ทั่วไป Why we have to fighting basic right about the freedom of speech. It's a huge cost for Thai people. It's a big challenge.
Chutima is speaking up for people like Dorupon Nyamkumtot, a farmer from Korat, whose life was turned upside down when the money from the institute went missing. In 2021, she received a letter from Thailand's government savings bank saying she owed them an enormous debt.
จดหมายแจ้งเตือนมา3 ล้านยังไม่รวมดอกเบี้ยวันนั้นที่ได้รับจดหมายคือมีความเครียดเกิดอาการช็อกว่าเราไม่ได้เป็นหนี้ทำไมมีจดหมายมาเตือนเราเยอะขนาดนี้
Dorupon never borrowed any money from the bank, but her father was considered liable for some of the money that disappeared from the financial institute because he'd been a committee member of one of the village funds it took over. When he died, under Thai law, Dorupon inherited that liability, and along with other committee members, she was summoned to court.
เรามีความกลัวในเมื่อเราไม่ได้ทำความผิดอะไรแต่เราต้องไปขึ้นศาลด้วยสาเหตุนี้เงินเราไม่ได้ใช้สักบาท
Doingporn's village committee is not the only one being sued. The bank is pursuing all 16 of the committees that let the institute handle their funds. A total of 44 million baht, about $1.2 million of village fund money was funneled through the institute. Most of it then disappeared. The villagers, mostly farmers and day labourers, say they have no idea what happened to the money, but they are now being held accountable.
เราไม่ได้อยู่ในจุดที่จะต้องไปชำระก็เราก็พูดเอาตรงๆคือเราไม่มีจะกินเลยอะเราต้องถึงไปกู้เข้ามาถ้าเรามีเราจะไม่ไปกู้ตอนนี้คืออยากมีความหวังอย่างเดียวให้เขาชำระหนี้ให้แค่นี้แหละ
Out here, it gets really hot, it's dry. It can be tough to make a living. These loans were supposed to be a lifeline for this community.
But the villagers say they became anything but.
Have you all been affected by this scandal?
กระทบแน่นอนครับกระทบ 100% เลย
เครียดมากผัวเมียทะเลาะกันทุกวันเกี่ยวกับเรื่องหนี้สิน
เครียดมันมาเคาะ
คิดว่าจะเอาเงินตรงไหนมาส่งคิดไม่มีคือไม่มีทางออกคิดแบบอยากจะตายไม่ตายนิด
So have you here all had to attend court because of this matter?
ไปมาแล้ว
Eventually, after multiple complaints, the government began investigating the missing money. And the banking scandal gained national attention.
ต้อนรับทุกท่านนะครับเข้าสู่รายการสถานีประชาชนนะครับ
มีชาวบ้านนะคะที่ตำบลบัลลังก์อำเภอโนนไทยจังหวัดนครราชสีมาเขาทุกข์มานานค่ะมาหาทางออกเรื่องของข้อกฎหมายค่ะกับอัยการณรงค์ศรีรสันต์ค่ะ
Narong Sirasan, a famous prosecutor from Bangkok, was appointed to lead a special investigation commission.
หากมีเงินหายไปหรือมีการทุจริตหรือมีการทำให้เงินสูญหายนะครับอัยการซึ่งเป็นทนายของแผ่นดินเนี่ยก็มีหน้าที่ต้องติดตามเอาเงินนั้นคืนกลับมาให้กับหลวงครับ
Investigators have traced some of the missing money, but 10 million baht is still unaccounted for.
คณะกรรมการชุดนี้จึงลงมาทำการตรวจสอบว่ามันเกิดจากอะไรแล้วเงินที่เหลือที่ยังไม่มีคนยอมรับเนี่ยนะครับมีใครบ้างที่จะพอที่จะยอมรับตรงนี้ เพื่อไม่ให้พี่น้องประชาชนนั้นถูกบังคับคดีหรือถูกยึดทรัพย์
After months of waiting, the first of Chutima's 5 trials is about to begin.
So are you feeling nervous?
A bit nervous, of course, because I feel like I not have power to control my future. Now my future in some other people's hand. Where is my freedom?
Good morning. I'm Ali Fal from Al Jazeera TV. I was wondering if I can ask you a couple of questions. Can you explain why you're bringing so many charges against Chutima today?
Despite repeated requests, Mayor Tanantorn refused to speak to us for this programme. But in a series of settlements and a negotiation with the bank, he has now admitted liability for some of the debt. Chutima's trial is expected to last 3 days, but she faces 6 more charges after this, and her ordeal may continue for years.
It's amazing. It's amazing. People who speak it up have to be in the shackle, in the jail, in the cell. It's the failed system.
Residents of some of Thailand's most vulnerable and impoverished communities have faced charges of criminal defamation. Today, I'm travelling to Loei province in Thailand's northeast to meet Saw Ratanamani Pongkla.
Hi.
Hi.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Nice to meet you.
แม่ป๊อปค่ะสอ and then แม่มน
Saw is a lawyer from Bangkok who helps communities affected by development projects.
You need to wear masks.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Saw first came here in 2014 to work with villagers opposing a gold mine they say was polluting the environment and making them sick. After they began protesting, the mining company launched criminal proceedings against them.
This is a factory.
Right. This was the factory where they're extracting the gold.
เราก็เลยมองว่าการฟ้องคดีสำหรับชาวบ้านกลุ่มนี้เนี่ยเป็นคดีที่เป็นลักษณะของการฟ้องปิดปากหรือว่าที่เราเรียกว่าสแลบค่ะ
ไซยาไนด์ที่ยังไม่ได้ใช้
The smell on the factory site is a little overwhelming.
It's come from cyanide, arsenic, and also other chemical during that process, and then that's why we get this smell.
Arsenic and cyanide. Those are the chemicals used in processing.
Yes, sir.
So really strong poisonous chemicals we're talking about.
That's true.
Powerful chemicals used to extract gold from rock were mixed and stored here, right next to the village. And it wasn't long before the people living here say they started to feel unwell.
จะเป็นผื่นแดงๆแล้วก็คัน
Yeah, it's
เวลา
red,
ใช้น้ำ
rash,
อะไรอย่างเงี้ย
and itchy.
ก็เห็น
แรก
ครั้งแรกก็ที่มันสัมผัสจากการน้ำแล้วก็เห็นชาวบ้านนะคะที่อยู่ใกล้ประมาณใน300 เมตรเนี่ยก็มีอาการผื่นคันแล้วก็มันแบบผิวแดงหมดเลยค่ะ
More than 6 months later, public health officials tested the groundwater and found it was contaminated.
So you used to be able to drink the water, but no longer.
ก็หน่วยงานก็เป็นคนออกมาประกาศเตือนพวกเราเองเลย
Chemicals had seeped into the water supply and polluted their crops.
So you had blood tests that were showing that you had arsenic or chemicals in your blood.
สารนูไซยาไนด์แมงกานีส
Cyanide, manganese, cadmium, and also arsenic in the blood.
So this area is where they were mixing some pretty toxic chemicals which were then seeping into the groundwater, and there's still a very powerful smell in the air, so we probably shouldn't stick around too long. Let's go.
The villagers stepped up their protests, posting on social media, writing complaint letters, and putting up signs objecting to the project. But Saw says the company doubled down.
การที่บริษัทก็ใช้ทุกช่องทางในการที่จะทำให้ชาวบ้านเกิดความหวาดกลัว อันแรกก็คือเรื่องของการฟ้องคดีนี่แหละค่ะไม่ว่าจะเป็นคดีอะไรก็ตามเนี่ยที่สามารถฟ้องได้ชาวบ้านก็เอามาฟ้อง
The mine operator, Tung Kam Company Limited, didn't just sue for criminal defamation. It also filed civil defamation cases and made criminal complaints for trespassing against the community. And some charges were filed far from where the villagers live.
Mẹ Pop got filed the case in Phuket, that is the southern of Thailand, far very
miles away from here.
Yes, over 1,000 kilometers.
So you had to travel over 1,000 kilometers to face the charge. ถ้าสมมุติเรามีทุนเนาะถ้าสมมุติว่ามีเงินน่ะนั่งเครื่องบินมันก็เร็วแต่ถ้านั่งรถทัวร์มันก็ต้องใช้เวลา2 วัน 2 คืน
And they say the claims for damages were disproportionate and terrifying. In one instance, the company demanded 50 million baht. That's $1.4 million.
She got charged with the defamation case because of putting the site, asking for 50 million baht.
50 million?
50 million.
50 million baht? Yeah. Because you put up a sign saying we don't want mining. Crazy.
The company sued villagers, journalists, and even a teenage girl who was featured in a news report about the mine's environmental impact.
ตอนนั้นพลอยอายุเท่าไหร่นะ 14
แล้ว
ม3 14 15ป่ะ
14 15ตอนนั้นก็ยังไม่รู้เรื่องเลยว่า
ไม่รู้เลย
หมิ่นประมาทคืออะไร
The villagers say the number of cases was overwhelming.
โดยส่วนใหญ่ไม่ได้มีเงินมีทรัพย์สินที่จะเข้าไปต่อสู้คดีในชั้นศาลได้เพราะว่าจะต้องไปจ้างทนายความต้องเสียเวลาในการไปศาลอะไรต่างๆเวลาการพูดเรื่องการฟ้องปิดปากมันก็คือเปลี่ยนไปเพื่อให้คนเหล่านี้เนี่ยหนึ่งก็คือสูญเสียเวลาสูญเสียทรัพยากรแต่ที่สำคัญไปกว่านั้นคือจะทำให้คนเหล่านี้เนี่ยเกิดความกลัว
Saw successfully defended or settled all the charges brought against the community. She also brought a civil case against the company, claiming it had filed charges in bad faith, costing the villagers time and money and damaging their reputation.
ในที่สุดศาลก็มีคำพิพากษามาค่ะซึ่งคำพิพากษาเนี่ยก็เขียนไว้ชัดเจนเลยว่าการฟ้องคดีของบริษัทเป็นการใช้กฎหมายมากำบังเพื่อที่จะกลั่นแกล้งชาวบ้านเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยบริษัทก็จะต้องชดใช้ค่าเสียหายให้กับชาวบ้านที่ถูกฟ้องคดีค่ะ
But the villagers never received the compensation. The company declared bankruptcy before the verdict was announced. Finally, after more than a decade of complaints, the factory is being dismantled.
ดีใจภูมิใจมากค่ะเพราะว่า10 กว่าปีเนาะเราทำงานกันหนักมากเราสู้กันหนักมากแบบแล้วก็มีวันนี้วันที่พวกเรารอคอยก็คือมีการตัดหรือขนโรงงานออก
แต่ตอนนี้เราก็รู้สึกว่าเราสู้กับทุนยักษ์ใหญ่ซึ่งเรามองตัวเองว่าแค่มดตัวเล็กๆรู้สึกภูมิใจ
Saw says Thailand's criminal defamation laws must be changed.
ถ้าสังคมไม่พร้อมที่จะปกป้องคนที่ลุกขึ้นมาแสดงออกแสดงความคิดเห็นแล้วก็วิพากษ์วิจารณ์หรือร้องเรียนหรือเรียกร้องให้เกิดความเป็นธรรมขึ้นในสังคมเนี่ยการสร้างสังคมที่เป็นธรรมมันก็จะไม่เกิดขึ้น
But Narong insists Thailand's defamation law is there to protect people.
ลองนึกถึงตัวเราถ้าเกิดมีคนมากล่าวหาเราแล้วเรารู้สึกความเสียหายนะครับทุกคนก็ใช้สิทธิ์ได้หมดนะครับ
Sutari Wanasiri is a human rights advocate who has been fighting such lawsuits for nearly 6 years. She knows the pitfalls of Thailand's legal system well.
Now the case at the Supreme Court level, and although we have actually won the first 2 court, the first court and the appeal court, is still hanging there at the back of my mind.
She was charged after sharing a video on social media about the alleged mistreatment of migrant workers at a major poultry exporter.
It was very difficult at that time. I was frustrated with the criminal system, how did the case allow to proceed, even though we already present several evidence of why the labor right violations were verified by different state authority, but why the case is still moving forward to the full trial.
Suthari says the information she shared was demonstrably true. The company had been ordered to pay the workers $50,000 in compensation. But under Thai defamation law, truth alone is not a defence. So in Thailand, you can face jail time for retweeting something that is true.
Yes, exactly. If the issue is not your own legitimate interest or a public interest, there's no defense. Yes.
The company involved, Temakasset, has been on a litigation spree, suing more than 20 people, including the workers who alleged mistreatment. One human rights activist faced up to 42 years in prison for posts supporting migrant workers who say they were exploited by the company. Her cases, along with more than 30 others, were eventually dismissed. Suthari says Thailand's criminal defamation laws are open to abuse, and she's now studying law to help herself and others fight back.
I think first of all, criminalize people for the speech or for simply a social media post is wrong in so many different levels. That is disproportionate. Putting a person in jail is completely deprive them of their liberty, and I think that's a very severe punishment. It should be reserved for example, violent crimes, for the crime that really had a serious effect on the society.
Criminal defamation complaints can be made to the police or even taken directly to the courts. As a result, Thai taxpayers are footing the bill for tens of thousands of charges, while those defending them have to foot the bill themselves.
The amount that I have to pay for the case is already more than 700,000 Thai baht. The intention is not to win the case, but it's actually to wearing people down by the process of the criminal justice system.
Back in Korat, the final session of the Special Commission of Investigation is about to convene. They are inviting villagers like Duangporn to have their say.
ตอนนี้คาดหวังอย่างเดียวว่าคือให้คนที่เอาไปรับไปเถอะเราจะแบบมีความสบายใจขึ้น
The anticipation is high as people arrive. The mayor and his associates from the Ban Lang Financial Institute are also here to speak. Narong will be leading the proceedings, but they'll be behind closed doors. The media must wait outside. Later, Narong tells us some of those at fault have now taken responsibility, but he won't reveal their identities while the investigation is ongoing.
แต่เขาได้เซ็นลงลายมือชื่อรับสภาพความเสียหายเหล่านั้นไว้นะครับตอนนี้กำลังผ่อนชำระให้กับกองทุนหมู่บ้านและธนาคารอยู่ครับ
Narong says that some of the problem stems from a mishandling of the money rather than corruption.
แต่มีที่เจอก็คือบริหารผิดพลาดเอาเงินกู้ไปใช้จ่ายในสำนักงานซึ่งความจริงเขาจะเอาเงินนี้ไปทำไม่ได้เงินตรงนี้จึงเป็นเงินที่หายไปนะครับมันไม่เข้าลักษณะของการยักยอกหรือเบียดบังเป็นเงินของตัวเอง
However, the Special Commission is continuing to investigate more serious, potentially criminal actions. To celebrate the findings of the Commission and the end of Chutima's first trial, the villagers are throwing a party. For the community of Ban Lang, things finally seem to be looking up. In March, the judge in Chutima's first case ruled that her posts were not defamatory, but she still faces 4 more cases and potentially many more years of legal fees, time and energy to defend them.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I hope that the future is going to be better or brighter. I live with hope.